Welcome to English to English. This is a poetry translation exercise for people, regardless of how many languages they know. You can do this perfectly fine, even if English is the only language you speak. Translation is the act of trying to negotiate meaning across different languages and to convey that to other people. That is the definition that I'm going to be using for the purpose of this workshop. We're going to be doing a series of exercises. These exercises, each one of them can take as long or as short as you want them to. But the goal is to start changing our perspectives of what it means to negotiate meaning, to interpret, to handle the messages and information that we receive, and then to bring them back into the world based on our own perceptions. By going through these exercises, you're going to have to deal with the same challenges that translation requires. That of trying to stick to the original intended meaning while also filtering it through your own lens of what is meant and conveying that to others in a way that they can understand. How literal or how figurative or how nuanced you want to be in that interpretation is up to you. The challenge of translation very often is the trying to make that determination of how closely to the original language and the original language's intention and structures am I going to stick. Your first question to answer. Try to see if you can give 3 to 5 potential reasons. Why do you think this baby is smiling? Number 2, you suddenly hear an alarm sounding. What does that alarm mean? Outside your window, you can hear the neighbors in the house next door laughing. Why are they laughing? These first exercises are based on the fact that when you translate, you have to interpret information from one language and determine what it means, or trying to find the motives behind why these things are happening, trying to find the definitions. The second exercise that we're going to do is we are going to create an emotion profile. This is going to be based on the 5 senses. We're going to stick with a single emotion, but you can naturally do this with any other emotion. And this may help you in your own poems in thinking about word choices or incorporating a wider range of the senses and sensory words into your pieces based on the emotion that you want to convey. In the circle in the center, I want you to pick a specific emotion. If you're not sure what emotion to pick, consider going to Google and looking up a tone word dictionary. This will give you a list of different emotions, hundreds of different emotions that you can pick to be more nuanced. For now, the emotion I want you to work with is the word nervous. Next, I want you to think of 3 words for each of the senses. What are 3 sounds that, if you hear them, make you think of nervous? What are 3 tastes? What are 3 tactile, thinking about touch, that when you think of it makes you nervous or makes you think of nervous? Once you have your list of words, something to consider. These are all words that when you see them or hear them in other people's speech or in other people's work, they may bring you back to these emotions. That means that other people are having the same experience. Other people are seeing words and coming up with their own emotional connections to them. The greater our awareness that every word has what I call an emotional pH, the greater we can adapt our word choice to become more emotive and expressive in our own language choices. Let's now do a translation exercise. For our purposes, what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you are talking to a child. How would you explain each of these idioms to them in a way that they understand? It's raining cats and dogs. The early bird gets the worm. The bee's knees. Ride an elephant to catch a grasshopper. Now, you may not know, in fact, what all of these different idioms mean yourself. Feel free to Google them, but I still encourage you to do the same exercise. Once you have an idea of the meaning, think about how would you interpret it for a younger person. Our next exercise is going to be based on our bodies, sounds, and body language interpretation. What do you think is the difference between huh and I'll do that again? What's the difference between and next? What do you think is the difference between and again? What do you think is the difference between and lastly, what do you think is the difference between and think of two more parallel body motions that you can use to compare. It can be a motion that you do with your hands. For instance, like maybe like a thumbs up versus a thumbs down. It could be something you do with your eyes. The difference between maybe looking up and looking down. What are two more examples of things with your body that you can compare? One final exercise that's actually going to yield us a bit of a poem. I'm showing you an example of a sonnet from Shakespeare. This is sonnet number 25. I want you to pick a 4-line sequence, any 4 lines, but they have to be 4 consecutive lines. Take 4 consecutive lines, and I want you to translate them into more modern English based on some context. Your first translation, I want you to take those 4 lines and imagine that you are the coach of a professional sports team. How would you translate those lines? Your next challenge, I want you to imagine that you are a mom or a dad talking to their kid. You're a parent. Lastly, I want you to take those 4 lines and I want you to imagine that you are talking from the perspective of a dog who speaks English for our purposes. So imagine that you are a dog. To give you a bit of an example of this, I'm showing you an example of a poem that I've translated from Shakespeare from Old English into more contemporary English. There you have it, guys. 5 exercises to bring you closer to the mindset and the strategies that you need to have when engaging in translation.